Hello everyone and welcome back. So on this project I'm going to show you how to install the stone the way that I do it. So this here I just flashed the cement board. Just make sure that you're tight to the wall. You don't need a lot of it. And I would go about 3 to 4 feet. It does dry out pretty quick, so I have two guidelines. One is a full and one is a half cut. So make sure when you install it, it'll look like a brick. So what I do is I just spread it a little bit on the back and I use the trowel, the tip of the trowel. I leave about 1/4 inch away from the edges, and I'll tell you why in just a second. So when you put on that first grid line, what you're going to want to do is just slightly go back and forth. Use your some pressure, your palm flat to the stone, and just clean off your edges. Make sure you're on that grid line. And I'm just going to pull it off and show you that it's all good, that there's good coverage. You're going to want to go close to the wall. I don't use a notch trowel because if you use a notch trowel, it's going to squeeze out to the ends and make a mess and everything. So that's why I just do it one by trowel. And you just keep continuing. So what you want to do is put your thing dry because some of these stones are a little bit higher. So what I do is I put those ones aside and I pick another one and I just, with my trowel, and I'm going to use that. And the ones that are a little bit bigger, like a 16th or 8, I put them aside and I cut them a little bit, like a blade length. So again, just use your, angle your trowel and just like that. Now stay back about 1/2 inch when you install that, and just go work it back and forth, and just like that, and just wipe off all the snots on your joints and everything. And you're gonna keep doing that. Just keep checking. And the reason why, if it's a little bit bigger, you could throw your level line. You'll make the joints a little bit bigger. You want to stay away from that. There is going to be some imperfections, so that's what it's meant for. But I just like to keep it a little bit closer and cleaner. And just keep continuing doing that. And I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about when you get your levelness. So what I do is, not all stones are going to be perfect. So I'm going to grab my level. As you can see, my levels always get dirty, and this is why my levels are dirty. Because I do quite a bit of accent wall, and this is probably the first one I've ever put up here for you. But just to give you an idea. So what you're going to want to do is you're just going to put your level on there, and you're just going to put your wedge, and just make sure you hit the tip of that bottom of that level. And you just check through and through. I'd rather have that first course line leveled, so when I put my next one up there, it's going to be a continuation. Usually I lay about 5 feet, then I put my level on there, and I just slide it along as I go along. The reason why I do this is if you start installing, you're going to have the humps, and you can see the waves in the stone. I do it this way, so when you look at it, everything looks straight. It's just more appealing this way, and that's why I do it. Again, just keep continuing, and just make sure you dry fit it first before you start cementing. Like I said, the thicker ones, the wider ones, just put them aside, and you can just use your saw just to cut a blade, and then set them aside, and you can start for your next course or the same course. just use your flat trowel. Don't use the other way. Just use your flat trowel, so that way you don't get any cement on the edge of the stone. Just keep doing it that way. If you get a little bit of cement, just wipe it and we'll be fine. Okay. I gave you the rundown on that. And you just go right around. There is going to be some cutting along the windows, but you're going to have to put some grid lines on the other walls as well, because when you pass the windows, you want to make sure that you hit properly. So you see that? That's the thicker tile I was talking about. So what I do is I just run my saw blade on the edge all the way down. You just got to cut a saw blade. Make sure you have your glasses. I put my cheaters on because I'm going blind. So, anyways, just angle your stone, tilt it so you can, because the blade sometimes it'll kind of shift a little bit, guys. So it's a little bit hard doing it this way, but you get the hang of it and it becomes a lot easier. I'm going to show you something. You see how I'm on that line? You see how I have that little bit of a bend there? So what I do is I just move my table back and I just don't go to the edge. Just grind just a little bit off, and I'll show you in a second. Okay, you see, you could just angle a little bit more down. There you go. But not to the edge of the stone. Okay. So this is these are offcuts. I save my offcuts because I'm going to need them. So I just mark it. And I'm going to raise my saw. And what I'm talking about is I unlock it and I'm going to raise my saw blade up. I just go back and forth on that line. And unfortunately, you can't do that when you're doing a sliver cut because it's hard to get that 1/16 or 1/8. So I do it this way because I have more meat on the stone. And I just slowly go back and forth. Don't push down, just go back and forth. Let the blade work itself. And you don't have to do a tilt cut or anything like that. Just go back and forth, take your time. If you follow these steps, you'll be fine. Just like that. And you see how that's more straighter like that when you go up and down. You do, because you have more meat on the stone. And just dry fit it and see if it fits nicely. And we're good. Just a little bit. Don't go all the way to the edge. So it starts squeezing out against that oak wood there, that trim. Just apply a little bit of pressure. There you go. So sometimes they'll have a little bit of a chip in the corner of the tiles, or the stone. So I just use a little bit of this cement. And I just blend it in, but that's coming up pretty soon. Make sure your level is always clean before you put that on top of your stone. Make sure there's no cement or anything on the bottom of that. And just use your wedges. And just make sure you hit the top of that level. This is my first course the next day. So what I do is I start picking from that first course, the last course of yesterday, and that way I don't get confused. So just start picking from that last course from yesterday, and then you just you could start picking from the batch there of the wedges. Remember, guys, make sure you pick from different boxes when you're doing your stone. So I just grab a little bit of cement with my my fingers there. I wear my gloves for this, by the way. I just put a little bit in there. It's just an example. The stone here looks good, but I'm just trying to find a spot and show you what I'm talking about. But anyways, just put a little bit, something like that, if there's a little bit of a chip in the corner. And just grab a sponge and just a wet sponge and just clean it up nicely. And it will blend in. The next day you'll see it's dry and it blends in with the stone. So when I do my corners, as you can see, I got a 1.5 full in the corners. And you see, I'm talking about the grid lines on that. You're gonna need to strike lines all the way up with that as well, so you don't get confused when you're doing around the window. So what I do is, I just grab my brick hammer and just kind of strike a line all the way down. Try to get it a little bit more flat. So when you put the next stone in there, there won't be big gaps or anything. When you have too much of a wave on the stone and you put it together, you'll see gaps. And you don't really want to put too much cement like I did showing you earlier, and start using a sponge. And you just slide it right in there, and it's a nice clean corner. Okay guys, please come back, and love you all and have a good day.